After more than 400 episodes of Peppa Pig, one question keeps poking at fans: where are Daddy Pig's parents? We know Granny and Grandpa Pig. We visit them for projects, sleepovers, and holidays. They're part of almost every big family moment. But on Daddy Pig's side, there's a strange silence. No visits, no names, not even one photo that clearly says, these are Daddy Pig's mom and dad. Fans started tracking tiny clues, and those clues point in different directions, from a simple, they live far away, to something deeper that lines up with Daddy Pig's biggest fear on screen. Let's unpack the best theories and see which one fits the show we actually watch. First, the imbalance is hard to miss. For young viewers, the show keeps family roles clear and repeatable. Granny and Grandpa Pig show up because they're safe, warm anchors. They host meals, help build things, and save the day when needed. If Daddy Pig's parents were meant to be part of that core circle, we'd expect them at least once across hundreds of stories. The fact that they never appear stands out. In a series that repeats key characters to help kids follow along, a blank space that big isn't an accident. It's a choice, and choices invite questions. That's where the first big theory comes in. Daddy Pig has a strong fear of heights. The show underlines it. When the family gets a chance to ride in Miss Rabbit's helicopter, Daddy Pig is happy to stay on the ground. The narrator even states it plainly, so little kids get it. Daddy Pig doesn't like heights. That's more than a random quirk like hating broccoli. It looks like a button that triggers real panic. If you trace that fear back, it connects to a darker idea. What if something happened long ago involving a helicopter? If a serious accident touched his family when he was young, it would explain his fear now and the silence around his parents. In a preschool show, you don't walk children through loss. You keep the story bright, keep the lesson simple, and step around heavy subjects. This reading ties a visible on-screen fear to an off-screen gap in a way that fits how the show handles hard topics. It doesn't prove anything, but it lines up in a neat, unsettling way. But fear isn't the only clue people point to. Fans have flagged a black and white photo that shows up in background spaces. You'll see it on a shelf in one place and a desk in another. Two piglets, old-style look? It appears more than once, which makes it feel intentional. Why would Grandpa Pig and Daddy Pig both keep the same old photo? If it's just set dressing, it's a curious repeat. If it's a breadcrumb, it might be the only glimpse we ever get of Daddy Pig's past. Some viewers think it's Daddy Pig as a young piglet standing with a sibling we've never met. Others think it could be an older generation captured as children. The series never explains it, and that silence is exactly what keeps the photo alive in discussions. On the surface, it's just decor. For adults who like puzzles, it's a hint the show leaves sitting in plain sight. From that photo, the next theory opens up: adoption. When a show never mentions a character's parents, not even a name, it often means the writers want to avoid any story beats that force them to discuss where those parents are. Adoption is a simple, gentle answer that fits. It explains the silence without pulling the show into heavy territory. It also fits the way Grandpa and Granny Pig take over the grandparent role by default. If Daddy Pig grew up in a non-traditional way, adopted, fostered, or raised by relatives, the show can leave his parents off-screen with zero friction. There's no need to confirm it out loud. Kids still understand the family roles they see. Adults have a believable explanation that doesn't clash with the tone. Another detail that people read through this lens is Daddy Pig's dynamic with Uncle Pig. Sometimes they feel less like typical brothers raised by parents we'd expect to visit, and more like longtime teammates who bonded early and kept that bond tight. If both spent formative time without parents in the home, that we only had each other feel makes sense. Again, the series doesn't label it, but it allows it. The silence doesn't fight you if you read it that way. There's also a practical pattern that supports all of this. Watch how the show handles teaching moments across generations. When George gets a racing car, Daddy Pig is the one who floats the idea, but Grandpa Pig is the one who really teaches and builds. 3 generations lean in while Grandpa leads the how-to. In many families, you'd expect Dad to take the lead on building the toy. Here, Grandpa naturally steps into that slot. For young viewers, Grandpa Pig is the builder who knows how to fix things. He fills that role across episodes. For adults, it's easy to see how he also reads as a quiet father figure, someone who shows steady guidance, not only to the grandkids, but to Daddy Pig as well. The show keeps character functions clear. Grandpa builds, explains, and mentors. That rhythm lets you read a deeper bond without the series spelling it out. But not every answer has to carry emotional weight. The simplest ones fit too. Start with age. Daddy Pig is a university graduate with a steady job and longtime colleagues. If he's firmly middle-aged, his parents would be very elderly. Preschool shows rarely center stories on aging, illness, or memory loss. That doesn't mean those things aren't real. It means a 5-minute episode isn't the place to unpack them. Keeping those grandparents off screen avoids tough explanations aimed at toddlers. It keeps the world warm and light, which is exactly what Peppa aims for. Then there's distance. The show already uses faraway relatives as a tool. Auntie Dottie is canonically described as living far away, even in another country. She can send gifts and letters without showing up every week. That device is useful because it's easy for kids to understand. They live far away, and it reduces the number of adult characters the writers have to juggle. Apply that to Daddy Pig's parents, and the gap makes sense. They exist, but they're not local, and the day-to-day adventures don't reach them. No drama, no loss, just geography. So why not just answer the question in the show and end the speculation? Because Peppa Pig is designed to be simple. Each story is a short loop with a tiny problem and a happy fix. Every new adult character creates new names to learn, new voices to track, and new relationships to explain. The show already balances teachers, shopkeepers, workers in uniform, and a whole town of animal families. Adding a second set of grandparents would double holiday scenes, split attention, and force the writers to rotate 2 grandparent houses in a fair way. That's a lot of overhead for a series built on quick, clear beats. Keeping one grandparent pair in the spotlight is a production decision that serves clarity, and clarity is king when your audience is 3 to 6 years old. But even if the production lens explains the choice, the clues still sit there, almost inviting adult viewers to fill the gap. The fear of heights plus a helicopter scene, the repeated old photo that seems to follow Grandpa and Daddy Pig around, the way Grandpa naturally takes the lead when there's building or fixing to be done, the fact that the show is happy to show faraway relatives without ever bringing them into the room. Each piece supports a different answer, and none of those answers break the series. If you like clean and gentle, the very elderly, or they live far away, readings fit perfectly. You never have to step outside the bright world Peppa builds. If you like grounded drama without going too dark, the adoption angle is tidy. It lets the show avoid tough words while still explaining why there's nothing to point to on Daddy Pig's side. And if you like puzzle box clues, the helicopter reading ties a visible fear to an invisible past in a way that feels deliberate. No theory is official, all of them are possible. That's part of why this mystery stays interesting after all these years. What's most fun is that the show gives you the room to choose. Kids watch, laugh, and move on. Adults watch the same 5-minute episodes and spot patterns that suggest a longer story just outside the frame. That's a smart design. It lets the show stay pure in tone while leaving a little oxygen for parents and older siblings who like to connect dots. So where do I land? The production lens explains why the second set of grandparents never shows up. But inside the world of Peppa, I think the distance answer is the safest fit. And the adoption angle is the most elegant if you want an inside-the-story reason that respects the tone. The helicopter link is the most dramatic, and it lines up with the fear we see. But the series is very careful with heavy themes. It would rather hint than confirm. That's why the silence stays a silence. Either way, the gap works. It gives Grandpa and Granny Pig space to be the reliable elders the show needs. It keeps the cast tight. It makes each family scene easy to follow for the youngest viewers. And it leaves just enough mystery for the rest of us to keep talking. Now, your turn. Which explanation matches what you see? Do you read Grandpa Pig as a quiet father figure for Daddy Pig? Or do you think Daddy Pig's parents are simply far away and very old? If you've spotted a background detail that tilts the scale, like a photo on a shelf or a line most people miss, drop it in the comments. I want to see the proof you found. And if you like deep dives that treat cozy shows like detective cases, tap subscribe so you don't miss the next analysis.